point. I was selling in the back of the room, stuff like that, and I thought, this is ridiculous. There's a better use for this book than trying to get $10 here and $20 there. So I never sell my books. They always are, they're my calling cards. So I think that's when I understood the book is worth more money than what's the price on the cover. And so I think that's when the money started really generating quickly.
And then, so then, did you have another bump from 900? I mean, did you surpass 1 million? What year did you surpass 1 million?
No, I think the next year might have been 1 million, 1,000,001, but I don't know for sure. I just remember the 9 figure, and then things have kept pretty steady since, although consulting contracts kind of come and go. So those make a difference in terms of that kind of money. So it's always between 500 and 900, I would say now. Okay.
And are you a member of the $1 Million Group?
I am not, no.
Have you ever been?
No, and I'm not for 2 reasons. One is I think you have to gross $1 million, and I don't know if it's over a certain period of time, but I'm not in favor of even them having that club. I think it's exclusive, and I think it's I don't even like the idea of it. Plus, I wouldn't want to give my financials to anybody. So
okay,
you're probably the first person I've ever talked finances with.
And I appreciate it, and it is confidential.
Good.
And so some of the people that I've interviewed with expressed similar feelings, and some people said, people who are in the $1 Million Group can be in there for a number of different reasons. They're a hedge fund manager, they own a whatever. Independent of a speaking business. Some people had mentioned, it would be very interesting to have $100,000 speakers SIG, let's say. What is your feeling on that? Do you have a similar visceral reaction against that?
I think so. I think I like the fact that they have CSP and CPAE meetings. I think those are valuable, and I think those are aspirational for people. But I think to put a monetary on it means that the sole purpose of this is to make money.
Okay.
And I'm not so sure. I don't know if you knew her, but Barbara Blaine.
Oh my gosh, she has come up so many times.
Okay, so she just died the other day.
Oh gosh.
She was the head of SNAP, the Survivors Network for those abused by priests. It was a Chicago organization that became worldwide. She just died on vacation in Idaho or Utah just the other day. But she was a lawyer. She was a master's degree. She was a theologian. She was a hardcore worker among the poor in Chicago. And then when the priest abuse scandal broke, it reminded her of when she was abused by a priest. And she started this network to try to help people. Now, I don't think her income was probably $100,000. Maybe it was. I don't know. But I don't think that's why she was doing what she was doing, was to make $100,000. But she was certainly a huge figure in Chicago and in the Catholic Church worldwide. So I think to say a $100,000 club, I know they tried to do a $500,000 club once. I think Laura Stack tried to do that. And it rubs me the wrong way. And then I heard the CSP Council, or the CSP CPAE meeting they do, that the CPAEs have asked to be separated from the CSPs of the meeting, right? And that just really rubs me the wrong way. So I think I don't like that about NSA, and I don't like this deal where we're letting our exhibitors become presenters. It feels to me like we're getting in bed with people that, so they're exhibitors, they're vendors, but I don't think we need to have them as presenters. And they started doing that at the CSP meetings a couple of times ago, and it just it just felt like a blatant advertising when in fact we're there for education and for fellowship.
Got it. Very good point. Okay, let's see here. Moving on. So if you would start a speaking business today, how would you select your topic?
I would select what is it that I know either academically or I know from my personal experience, and start with that. When I used to teach people how to start a private practice in psychology or counseling, I said start with somebody who knows you and loves you, and ask them, tell them what you're doing, and ask them for referrals, and then ask them for 3 people that they know that you could use as the next 3 people to talk to. And so you're always starting from the people who know you and love you. And I think if you're starting with a speaking practice, start with something that you really know pretty well from your experience. And it doesn't have to be anything terribly academic or glorious. I attended a blogger convention in Boise, Idaho, a couple months ago. Nobody from NSA was there. And I was the oldest person in the group by about 30 years. And I was there with my son. And these are people who make money blogging. One of them makes, I think she made $1 million last year, blogging about blogging, how to be a blogger. Another one made $75,000 her first year teaching moms how to take photographs of their children in their home. I mean, it was wild. Another one blogs about, what was that? But I mean, if you can say, one of them blogs about redeveloping early RVs. So these are like vintage RVs that have like wood on the outside. And she blogs it. She has 10,000 people every month on how to rehab old RVs, and she makes money from that. So I mean, if you could think it, they were doing it. Seth was there. I think he was the one that was closest in age to me, and their presentations were. He's a good presenter, but their presentations were even better because they were just as raw and young and fresh and naive as they could be, and they're all kind of 30s, and they get up there, and if they drop the F-bomb once, they dropped it 3 or 4 times during the presentation. And I looked at my son, and he looked at me like, calm down, this isn't NSA, it's okay. So, they're not professionals, but they were people that really took a shot at this. And I think the passion that I saw is something that I would like to see come back to all of us, and to NSA. So, just a very, very interesting experience. And so some of what I'm doing is I'm trying to go to some conferences that I used to only go to NSA. Now I go to some conferences that are not NSA and finding a lot of interesting stuff there.
Okay, got it. And what have you gotten, what role has NSA played in your success?
It's played a lot, especially in the early years. It helped me formulate my business plan, which I think these bloggers were all working on. They were working on their business plan. It also helped me figure out my expertise, which these bloggers are also doing. But I think it started to help me hone it. It's taught me how it's a business as well as a profession as well as an art. So those early years in NSA were very important to me. I've got some good friends from the organization. I primarily go to the convention to meet with friends in the hallway. I learn more in the hallway sometimes than I do in the sessions, and a lot of what I do is a direct result of NSA. I'm a big fan of what I've gotten from NSA. And,
correct.
I've been on the CSP Council, and I'm on the Ethics Council now, and all that stuff. So I do some work for them, but I'm not. I did some work where you interview. They have this thing where you interview people that want to be on the board.
Yes.
And so I did that twice, and that's really interesting to kind of see how people present themselves when they really want something. So that was that was a great psychological study. We should have done a paper on that. But and now I'm a co-chair of the ethics committee.
Good.
So.
All right, so Kevin, that's all I had to talk to you. I'm going to put my recorder on hold for a second. I have given what you said about how NSA helped you in your early years, I have a personal question, if you don't mind. I'd like to bounce off you, if you don't mind. Okay, so I have essentially 3 areas of expertise, and it's all in a specific area on innovation. And without giving you the long story, I've been in innovation for like 25 years. I then got, selling to corporate, but nobody wanted really to buy it, because then if they buy me, it's admitting that they're not doing something right. So then I got into healthcare because I had a background. I think you actually read one of those, one of our books. I got into healthcare, which ran into some roadblocks until I got a grant from a funding agency that then from that referral they got me into their hospitals that they had provided funding on. And the third, so that was innovation in healthcare, and the last one is innovation in entrepreneurship, which I was very involved with. I did 2 tours in the venture capital community, and so I was going to, from these interviews actually, what I had found was when the speakers' businesses take off, it's usually because they found a focus, whether it's like Sam Silverstein in accountability, or Anna Liotta in generational issues. And so I thought, okay, I am going to focus on healthcare innovation. And I'm going to change my website, et cetera, et cetera. And then yesterday I had an interview with somebody who said, it's really important that you're passionate about your topic and that you're passionate about your audience. And so now I'm lost. Okay, and so do you have any advice?
Well, I'm glad we're not being recorded.
Yes.
Probably going to say something
good.
Incorrect.
Go.
And I may not, I think the only people that use the word passion are women. And so whenever I hear one of my male doctors say, I'm passionate about this and I'm passionate about that, I say to them, I think we need to find, I'm energized, I'm excited, I'm interested, but I said passion is so maybe overplayed. It's kind of like the word awesome. It means nothing after a while. It's used so much. So I think it's important that you find a topic where you can be useful. And I think when you find that you're useful, that can energize us, because then we actually see things happening on the outside. And so if you take a look, my kids say my website is terrible. I've got 2 websites. I really don't do much with them. I know other people are tweaking theirs all the time. I should be blogging a lot. I should be doing this, that, and the other thing. But what I'm interested in is how can I be useful to this particular next client? And so I pour my energies into that. So I'm going to Romania tonight. My energies today are going to be poured into how can I be useful to these people, knowing that when I get back, I'm going to teach on Tuesday. And on the way back, I'm going to be focused then on my 2 classes that I teach on Tuesday. And then I know I'll be leaving on Wednesday for a trip, so then I focus on them. So I think if we think to ourselves, how can I be useful? And given my expertise, what's the thing? So given my expertise, I could say I'm a human relations expert, but there's a lot of those people. But if I say I like to work with technical leaders who've been promoted to lead their former peers, well, that might be saying the exact same thing. I might even be teaching the exact same content that Eileen McDar's teaching. But when people say, what do you do for a living? I usually don't say I'm a professional speaker. I usually say, you ever been on a team where somebody got promoted to lead the team, but not necessarily because they were very good at leading a team? That's usually when the person says, "That's my boss," or "I had that," or "That's the last guy." Or one guy said to me, he said, "That's me." So now we can then talk about them, and I can be of use to them while we're in conversation, rather than saying I'm this, that, and the other thing, which is me talk. So I want you talk when I'm sitting next to somebody. So I think in terms of your expertise, you have a broad stroke, but you have this one thing that apparently has captured your interest and your imagination, which is innovation. Is that right?
Correct.
And it's applicable in many areas.
Correct.
Yeah. So I wonder, are you wanting to go into a particular area, or are you wanting to just see where innovation will take you in many areas?
So that's a good question. So what's the goal? I'm never going to leave my job as a professor. I love being a teacher. I love being a professor. Okay?
Yeah.
Essentially, I want to make an impact and add an additional $50,000 a year to my income. So that's probably my goal.
Okay, that's good. That's good. It's nice. It's specific, right? You can break it down and say, if I charge X, then I have to do so many talks this year at that rate.
Well, I can do the arithmetic. It's filling in the blanks that I have the problems with, but fine, okay.
For sure, yeah. So I think one way to do it is to maybe, and this is because I do interviews, is interview people, and you're a good interviewer, and interview people about, I'm doing an article on innovation in blah blah, and then talk to them about what keeps them up at night about innovation. What is innovation? I know creativity is doing something different. Innovation is doing it better. So what is it that about innovation that when it comes up in a meeting, what happens at meetings? So I would take it to a more granular level and maybe start interviewing people, but not about innovation from an academic standpoint, but how do you handle making your meetings more innovative? How do I handle talking to my boss and being able to introduce innovative ideas that they might begin to swallow? I was at Blue Cross the other day. I'm coaching a guy there, and he said they just got a huge amount of money to work with Medicaid in Illinois. And he said, I know that we needed an office in Peoria, but they wanted one in Galesburg because we already had a building there. And he said, I made my pitch, and everybody shot it down. And I thought, well, I guess I'll bring this up at another time. A month later, somebody said, I wonder if we should go to Peoria after all. And I said, wow. I said, how did you decide to do that? He said, well, I kind of know that when I innovate, he said, for me, I have to do it in a stealth bomber way so they don't see it coming. And he said, I just kind of plant the seed, and then I'm patient. So I thought that was fascinating that he said it that way. And to me, that takes it out of this kind of Harvard Business Review format and puts it into the real life of people.
Great.
So I
Great idea.
You might start identifying people or people who represent people who you might like to be hired by, and talk about the real life experience of innovation, or innovation in real life. Because I think everybody has kind of a penchant for, we ought to do this, and we ought to do this, and we ought to start with the end in mind, and they do all those kinds of quotes, but nobody really knows how to actually do that. And so I think if you maybe thought about your topic as, what's the challenge this particular person has going to work today, to get people to start thinking in a different way, to really, and you might even introduce, the dynamics of innovation and change, the dynamics of innovation, and in essence having a B team. How do I? The Air Force had this problem when they were going over to the first Gulf War. They were told, give us some of your doctors. And so the rule is you always give them your best doctors. You don't hold back. So then the guys here were left with the B team. All their A team guys were at war, and they were left with their B team, who were not as good as the ones that left. So now what do? that team. So, I think if you start doing that within a circle that and introduce it to your students as well. But my students know that I'm going to Romania. They know that I speak. I don't let them hire me until they graduate. But, I want them to know what I do on the outside because I want to inspire them to think about what they can do on the outside.
That is great advice. I will. I will do that. I'll give that some thought.
Yeah, and then of course, Kiwanis Rotary, Lions clubs are always looking for stuff, and I think they will force you to granulize your message so that you can give a 20-minute talk on something that's really close to home. Innovation in my marriage, innovation with my relatives, and then I think then you become the innovation guy.
Yeah. It's Kevin, I thank you. I appreciate your time, your input, and your advice.
Thank you. Anytime.
Thank you. Just so you know, the process, I'm hoping to finish the interviews in the next week and a half. I'll draft a report for Brian by the end of the year. Hopefully he'll review it. After we revise it with his input, we'll send it out to you and the other interviewees to make sure that I've properly captured.
Oh, nice.
And then then Brian will make it available to whomever.
That's great. Thank you for doing this.
Great.
It's a terrific idea.
Great. Thank you, and your points and your opinions were fantastic. Have a great day.
Looking forward to seeing you again.
Yes, likewise. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Huh.
Office. This is Cindy. May I help you?
Cindy, hi. This is Gary Lynn calling. I have a meeting with Shep at 10:30 or 9:30 your time.
9:30. Yes. He's waiting for your call. I
Perfect.
will send you right over. Hold
Okay,
on.
thank you.
Hey, Gary.
Hey, Shep, how are you doing?
Good. How are you doing?
Doing great, doing great. I don't know if you remember, we actually met a couple of years ago in the bathroom at New York City NSA. My wife was she's now the president, but she was the president-elect. You were one of the speakers, and anyway, so your path and my path have crossed a couple of times.
Good. And I assume I washed my hands?
You know, we don't. I don't. I'm not one of those people who kiss and tell. So I'm just. What happens in the bathroom stays in the bathroom.
All right, good.
Okay. All right. So just kind of putting this in context. First of all, thanks for sitting for this interview. We're doing some research on what are some of the successful pathways in the speaking business.
Okay, all right. And let me know when we're going to start recording.
Okay, I'm going to start recording right now. I was going to.
Okay, there you go.
Okay, all right. Wait a minute. Hold on. I'm speaking. Wait a minute.